Well, good Monday morning to you. Chilly Monday morning. I hope you survived the cold weekend. Jim Tabor here, along with Doctors Jim and Janine Fox of Doctors Nutrition.
Morning.
Located on Cowan Road in Gulfport, just south of Pass Road. It's our Monday morning live edition, in which you can call in and ask questions regarding today's topic or anything else you might have been thinking of over the past week. Our phone lines are 896-0713 or 800-349-0713. And we're talking about something, this is actually my idea because this is time of the year everybody's trying to do something healthy for themselves and get on track of doing something healthy. And one of the things that probably any time of the year they question is detoxing your body.
Yeah, it's one of those things that you see. I mean, if you watch this channel or any others, you're going to see some ad for, the detoxification stuff, and get all the sludge out of your system and all that, which is a good idea. But, the detoxification is a little bit more complicated than taking a laxative. Okay, and that's kind of one of the points.
And a lot of people think that, oh, I'll just take a laxative and flush it all out.
Yeah, well, that's
And welcome back to our Monday morning live edition of Healthy Living South Mississippi. Live healthy, be healthy, with Drs. Jim and Janine Fox at Doctors Nutrition on Cowan Road in Gulfport, south of Pass Road. And we're talking about detoxing your body. Thomas from Wlox is on the phone. And Thomas, you have a question about bread for the doctors?
Yes, I do. We've been told several times by the doctors not to eat any breads because they convert to sugar. But there's a bit of confusion about that because we were originally told that we should just cut out white bread, and then we went to brown breads and whole wheat bread, and more recently whole grain breads. And Rick Gallup in his book Glycemic Index Diet says that it's okay to eat whole grain bread. I'd like to know what's going on with bread.
Well, Thomas, it's kind of a complicated issue. We'll try to get to it as best I can here. You know, when you look at bread, and if you're eating the pure organic whole wheat, you know, depending on how you handle sugar, you may be able to get by with it. But there's an awful lot of folks, if we're human, and you know, we have a problem, and we can't handle the gluten. And you know, there's a real famous doc in the GI business up in, he runs the University of Maryland Health Center. They have a big GI clinic there. His name's Fasano. And Dr. Fasano makes the statement that no human has the enzyme or has the genes capable of producing the enzyme that can help break down and actually detoxify, if you will, gluten. So we all are gluten sensitive to some point. Now, how much and how bad is it going to be? We don't know. Everybody seems to be a little bit different. But when you get to looking at bread, if we go back and look at what the human has to have to survive, there's not a need, if you will, for any of those particular carbohydrates in human nutrition. You know, we just don't need it. And, you know, bread is if you will, kind of a modern invention. And if you think about how it's used, you know, it's things like sandwiches, convenience foods, you know, baked goods, those kind of things. And honestly, trying to find a real 100% organic whole wheat or whole grain is extremely difficult. And even if on some of the things that I've picked up and said, you know, it's whole grain, you look at the package, read the ingredients, and you know, it might have the second or third ingredient might be that.
Again, most of it out there is packaged processed food.
Exactly.
Even if it's, I mean, almost all your breads that are already made are going to be packaged and processed. And I mean, that in itself is not good. And even there's another famous doctor that's written a lot of books, Dr. Perlmutter. He will even say in his seminars and lectures that we are all gluten sensitive, it's just to what degree.
And the same thing Fasano said.
Yeah, any wheat products, I don't care if it's whole grain wheat, it all has gluten. Now, your packaged processed, really processed wheat, which is what you're going to get mostly, is really high in gluten. I mean, they're actually 50 times more than it used to be in the 50s. So they're actually putting more in there to make it more pliable and fluffy. Because really, back in the days, you know, bread wasn't soft and fluffy. It was hard, you know, and dense. And, you know, really, if you do get a bread that's probably okay, it's probably going to be one more like that. It's not going to be your fluffy, pretty, you know.
And that's why the pioneers could stick it in a, you know, make that big cake thing and stick it in their bag, and they could travel across country with it and just eat that same.
Because, yeah, well, it was already stale. It wasn't going to get
stale.
Exactly. So really, I mean, when you look at the glycemic index of most breads, and it's most of them out there, they will spike the insulin and they will turn to sugar. And you know, we deal with diabetics every day, and many diabetics, and unfortunately everybody's becoming diabetic because of the way people eat. If they're eating a lot of bread, they cannot control their sugar. It's just kind of what you see. And so I do think that there's not a great bread. We don't do any bread at all. I love it. I used to eat it all the time, and I mean, of course, I would love to eat it, but I know it's just not great for you.
And it's not about the color of the bread either, Thomas. You know, a lot of people think, well, yeah, I'm going to eat this whole wheat bread. And if you actually look, they use, you know, various coloring agents to make it look nice for you. But again, anything that you buy that's packaged and processed. Now, if you know, we've got some folks that are consumers of our customers and patients of ours that make their own. They actually get the whole 100% organic grains, grind it themselves, and make their bread. Now, it's not the kind of
And
bread
if you're
going
going
to buy
to
in
eat
a
it,
package.
that's what you should be doing.
Yeah.
Yes.
But even then, we go back to, we have to ask the question, does Thomas have a sugar handling problem? Because if Thomas does have a sugar handling problem, you may not be diabetic, but you may be pre-diabetic. And sooner or later, keep doing what you're doing, and you're going to wind up being diabetic. That's the kind of problem we wind up talking about with people because of these breads. And, it's a pretty common occurrence with us. I mean, it's like a daily thing. I should have it recorded and just let them listen to the recording because we play the same thing over and over again. And when we do the lab work on folks, and Thomas will be glad to do your lab work for you and find out, are you sugar handling problems or anything like that showing up? Because you really need to get into that. It's more than just I'm going to eat brown bread or dark bread, or I'm going to eat whole wheat bread. Any gluten can be toxic. I think another caller had asked about that. Gluten can be toxic to your body, no doubt about it.
It's not going to kill you like a toxin, but it can make your body produce toxins in response.
Right, and
it definitely makes immune responses.
Yeah, she mentioned Dr. Perlmutter. He's a neurologist down in the Tampa area. Written several books. Got some really neat stuff. Grain Brain is one, and he talks about that link between the gut and what goes on in the gut and what happens in our brain, because a lot of our neurochemistry is made in the gut that actually helps the brain function. Like for instance, your serotonin and your GABAs and so on. All these chemicals are made there, and we wind up with a toxic gut, and you're going to have a toxic body. And first thing we do is clean up the
right. And I think the other caller also asked if we carry gluten-free products, and we do have a lot of gluten-free products, a lot of cosmetics and stuff. Now we have a little bit of the food. We don't carry much of the food because most gluten-free products are still packaged processed food, and they still use other grains. And so we don't, but when it comes to some of the household products and some of the cosmetics, we do tend to have it. Now, I think she specifically asked about hairspray, and I don't have any hairspray, so I don't have that. But we do have a lot of the moisturizers and cleansers and shampoos and all that is gluten-free.
All right. Thank you very much for the calls. Anyway, we're taking your calls live today about detoxifying your body. So again, you can call 896-0713 or 800-349-0713. And I think probably what we're going to end up having to do is kind of continue this on into next week.
We are, because we haven't even really got into how to detoxify yet.
Yeah,
now, like I said, we've talked about toxins, and there's no doubt we live in a toxic world. And I think everybody knows that, and you have to stop, toxifying. Now, one of the big things we tell people constantly is water. Water is one of your good detoxifiers. You have to do it. You have to drink water, and you want a good, clean source of water is the thing. Now, that can be harder than you think, but water is important.
Yes, definitely. All right, well, stay tuned because right after the break, we will have this week's special for you. We have one more segment coming up. Still taking your calls, 896-0713, 800-349-0713. And welcome back. You can call us now. We're taking your calls live today about detoxifying your body. First off, we talked pretty much all this morning about different toxins in your body, things like that. More or less next week, we're going to talk about how to get them out of your body.
Exactly.
We'll talk more about supplementation and what supplements your body has to have, or what nutrients, I should say, the body has to have in order to detoxify, because detoxification is a complicated process. So
I know the big thing several years ago, because maybe people still talk about me doing it, was getting the colon cleansing.
Oh yeah.
And but the thing about that is you see a lot of these stars in Hollywood, they get it, and a lot of people, they go every month or just a couple, every other week.
We're not real big on colonics.
Well, the thing with that is when you're doing that, you're also
getting rid of all your good bacteria.
Yeah, you're getting your good bacteria. You're getting rid of that too.
And people don't realize, we talk about probiotics constantly. I mean, we talk about it probably every show, but probiotics is part of detoxification. When all the processes happen, your phase 1, your phase 2 detoxification, probiotics is one of the things that helps carry away the toxins. And so the probiotics are so essential, and to me on colonics, you're actually getting rid of a lot of your probiotics.
Yeah, they say after a typical colonic treatment like that, it takes somewhere around 200 to 300 billion colony forming units daily for at least 30 days to try to replace and
Replace
replenish
what you got rid of.
what you got
Right.
rid of.
Right.
And what we always say, if you're going to the bathroom regularly, if you're having regular bowel movements, which you should, because if you're not, then you want to work on that as well, because that is a big part of detoxification
Yes,
is
it is.
elimination. But if you are going, your inside lining of the colon replaces itself about every 72 hours. So that's just something that you want to stay regular on a daily basis, and you don't want to have to rely on colonics to try to go to the bathroom, because a lot of people I've seen over the years that do that, they end up having to, they have to do it or they don't go. So it ends up being a problem because it makes the colon not work properly.
Yes.
Right. 896-0713, 800-349-0713 are the numbers for you to call. Specials this week.
Well, on special this week, of course, we're going to break this into two parts, but to get started, we have one product called DN Detox, and it's kind of a short-term, just kind of kickstart, kind of get things going good for you. And then the other one is, that's a total body detox kind of thing. The Detox Greens is something that we suggest on a daily basis because we get toxic daily.
Right. It's a lot of your green, vegetables.
And
it
chlorophyll.
a lot of chlorophyll. And chlorophyll is very important in detoxification.
Really?
But it also gives you, it has milk thistle and nutrients, and it does have some other fruits and vegetables in it too. So it gives a lot of fruits and vegetables. And it actually tastes pretty good. It's sweetened with stevia, so it actually does have a little bit of a,
So it's a powder.
It cuts the green taste. It is. People know of green drinks. Well, it is a green drink.
Those things are nasty.
They're
Most
not.
of them
You'll
are.
have to
Come
try
on,
it. You'll have
let's
to
try
try
it.
it. We'll give you a
We'll do that.
sample.
We'll do that.
We
We'll
give out
you a
samples of it all the
sample.
time.
Yeah, we have it open. And if anybody comes by, we'll give you a sample because everybody wants to taste that one before they buy it.
Okay.
Obviously.
And I'll give you some, and then you can tell next week how it tasted.
Sounds good. I'll definitely do that.
Yeah?
I'll start my detoxification
There you go.
for the new year.
Like I said, it's just the green. Most people don't eat enough greens nowadays. You just don't see people eating a lot of greens. And chlorophyll, like he said, is a really good detoxifier.
It's a big part of that.
Probably more carbs than most people eat a lot of
They
carbs.
do.
Oh, processed
They do.
carbs.
Yes.
I mean, the
Not
thing
even the good
is,
ones.
not even a good. Yeah, they eat the processed carbs. There was a research study. It's been, and I think we mentioned it on one of the prior shows, a few years back, and they said, that most Americans would be totally deficient in vitamin C if they didn't eat French fries, because that's where you get a little bit of vitamin C. I mean, the
most people
potato
are
has a
not-
small amount. I mean,
Right.
it's not a lot, but it will keep off the scurvy, I guess. So, that's how bad the standard American diet really is. If that's what's keeping you from getting scurvy is your French fries, okay, we need
It'll
to
keep you from
rethink
getting
this
scurvy, but it'll help you get fat.
It will help you. It will help you.
Put on
yes.
that weight. Yeah.
And I mean, we're all toxic when you talk about it. Even
Yeah.
people that do everything right, and if you take everything right, there's actually been studies done where they took cadavers, which are people after they died, and they test a lot of your toxins are held in the fat cells, and they test the cells, and 100% of people have the known toxins. Everybody has them.
They started out with, years ago when they first started doing this, back in the 80s, they had like 8 or 10 things that they tested for, PCBs, stuff like that. Dioxins. And sure enough, pretty much 100% of the people had it in it. Well, they kept expanding the list, and now some of the testing that they're doing, the CDC does all this junk. Your government dollars at work. But they've tested, and they found the list is way over 100. It's up in the hundreds. And, pretty much everybody they test has all this junk in them, and we just can't get rid of it.
So the thing is we're all going to have some. It's just getting rid of what you can, because people think of just being toxic as being sick, and that's not necessarily true. You'll have the person that goes along completely healthy, and I know a lot of people know people out there like this, and all of a sudden they have cancer. In cancer, toxins mutate, start causing mutations to cells. Well, then the cell mutations tend to turn into cancer cells. So when you start talking about detoxifying, it's not just health right now. And a lot of people, everybody's in real time. Like right now, if I'm okay, I'm okay. And that's not always true. You want to actually look down the road, and you want to stay healthy. You don't want to wait until you get sick. And that's kind of what we try to push is prevention.
And a lot of it, I'm pretty sure, has to do as far as, detoxing your body. Lifestyles.
Lifestyle is a huge part. Just like we said, what you eat is the
Age.
number one.
I mean,
Well, age is part of, I
You
guess.
have more years to get toxins. The older you get.
Usually.
she likes to rib on that age
She
thing,
does. I
doesn't
know.
she?
She pushes
Really.
that thing all the time.
Since I'm the youngest one here.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I know. We know.
But when we start talking about this detoxification thing to people, I tell them, one of the first things you're going to have to do is to think. Oh my God. We're going to have to think about everything we put in our body, whether it's water, whether it's food, what do we put on our body, some of the chemical makeups and things like that she talked about, what do you use to clean with? You're going to have to think. And most people are getting a little lazy and don't want to think. And we really have to think when it starts coming down.
It's a life of convenience. It's
It is.
whatever's
Yeah, it is.
convenient for you.
Yeah, true.
Right, and it really is making people sick. Now, somebody talks about.
Caller asked, what about drinking huge amounts of water to detox and drop weight?
Well,
Now, even water can be
toxic.
toxic if you drink too much. I mean, honestly, huge amounts is not necessarily, you want to get adequate water, is what
Yeah.
I say. And you want to do that on a daily basis. You don't want to do it just like for a couple of days to detoxify. You want water every day. And it doesn't necessarily mean
Well, it's good
you're
for
gonna-
you so many different ways. I mean, it's good for your skin.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, it's good for everything, yeah.
And your skin is one of the big detoxifying organs. People think
Biggest
of
organ of the body.
The liver is really important. Your kidneys are really important. Your skin is really important. I mean,
And they
there's,
are.
There's so many different parts, and that's why next week we're going to start out by talking about what nutrients are needed for detoxification,
Like
because there's a
water.
lot of them.
Like water. I mean, this caller
Like
asked
water,
about
yeah.
water. Now, when you say huge, you have to define huge. Typically speaking, people ask, well, how much water should I drink on a daily basis? Take your body weight and be honest with it, okay? Take your body weight. Do a little math. Divide it by 2.2. That gives you how many kilos that you are. For every kilo of body weight you have, you need at least an ounce of water.
And that's a minimum. I mean, you can do a little bit more. Now, you don't, like I said, you can overdo water. And there's been people in cases where people have died from drinking huge amounts of water without going to the bathroom.
Yeah, that's not
So
good.
you don't want huge amounts. And you really, the water, the weight that you drop on just doing a lot of water, you're going to gain it back pretty quick if that's all you're going to do.
All right. Well, we'll be back next week to talk more about detoxing your body, things that you can do on the safe side.
Yeah,
Part two.
and supplements that can be used on a daily basis to keep you detoxified.
All right. So hope you have a great week. We'll get ready for the warming trend we have coming back here. Weather in Mississippi, isn't that just wonderful? Have a great week. We'll see you next week.